Y'all heard of the show Agatha All Along? It's the Marvel show. It's the second chapter of the Wanda
Vision.
WandaVision. So
I'm sorry, I was scarred.
So I was trying to watch it, and I'm like, man, why does this feel so much more evil? Because we grew up with witch stuff, right? We grew up with Charmed and Bewitched and
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
For some reason, this one, the reason why it feels a little stranger is because I think they're doing a lot of research into actual occult practices. Yeah. It's not just like the Disney version of a witch. It's the actual version of a witch that they're tapping into. And there were a couple of things I heard in the last episode. I'm like, why are they saying this stuff out loud? Like they're like revealing real occult tactics. So anyway, there's this show. Y'all heard of New Rock Stars? They do a lot of Marvel recaps. Stuff like that, and the man that's like kind of like the main host of it, he's really good at breaking down shows. There's a lot of them all of the people on this channel are really good at breaking down shows, and he was breaking down Agatha All Along, and he mentioned something that caught my attention about the modern day comedy, modern day improv. Listen to what he says.
Now, I only bring this up because half of this cast on Agatha came from a background of long-form improvisation like most of us at New Rock Stars. But this ritual that we're seeing is really an invocation, the summoning of a spirit. But in improv, an invocation is an exercise and common opening to a half-hour show format we call the Herald. One of many ways performers brainstorm ideas for upcoming scenes on stage in front of the audience. In an invocation, the team gets a suggestion of an object and then invokes it by endowing it with physical descriptions, like banana, like it is yellow, it is cold, it is rotting, And the second phase is how you use it, its function, and you say you are. So like you are a snack, you are a weapon in Mario Kart. The third phase is its metaphorical meaning where you say thou art. So thou art a too penetrable shell masking a vulnerable heart. And then ultimately you end with like one word summations, like I am delight. And then everyone together says, I am banana. This thing was developed by a guy named Del Close, who was like the cult-like guru of this whole improv art form and was actually a practicing Wiccan in Toronto. And I know all of you improv nerds felt it. Alice and Lilia reveal that Lorna was trying to open the Witch's Road with her version of the ballad and that her fans were her coven.
Right, real quick, I'm gonna just break this down. You hear what he said? The guy who is basically the father of modern day improv, which a lot of your comedians come from, Saturday Night Live, all the most of the comedy stars that you see came from that world, right? The actual practice of how they prepare for a show and how they do a show is based on witchcraft.
Wow. Crazy.
What's going on here?
Witchcraft.
Did y'all know that?
Actually, I did not know that.
I did not know that.
Yo, your eyes are
I know for
open
you.
like
Yeah.
I know
Like,
for you.
what?
I know
we do that at school.
Yeah, that's your lane too. I know you like.
Now, he did say that form of improv, because I've done improv, but I ain't never did nothing like that before.
I have too, and I had never heard of this, but I'm aware of it, right? You see hints of this on like Whose Line Is It Anywhere? They do some of this invocation stuff, right? They'll call out an object, and you see them working through this to make it a real thing.
Wow.
And even when I did improv, I remember some of this terminology.
Yeah.
I remember some of the a lot of the principles are like, whatever somebody says is true is now true. You can't contradict what somebody says. A lot of that is getting pulled from this guy. It's like, whoa, how is that okay?
It's so crazy that like I was telling this to Sean earlier. I was like, I watched. I'm a big. People know I'm big on documentaries. I'm big on pop documentaries. I'm big on different things. And one of my favorites is the Comedy Store. They have a documentary about the famous Comedy Store in Los Angeles that was in the 80s, 70s. It was really popular. It was getting popular, very going crazy. And I was telling him, I said like, y'all know who Lily Thompson is? She's that famous actress from back in the day.
Yeah.
She used to do seances there, and now that place is like haunted. Like I've seen it on like specials and stuff, like how it's haunted and stuff like that. So when he said that, it didn't dawn on me like that's not happening, because honestly, I just think New Ageism, the form of Earth New Ageism, is very popular. Was very popular back there in the 70s and the 60s, 70s when it first kicking off. So. When I heard that, I was like, I wasn't taken aback.
So listen to this next part. This one will feel familiar to you. I cannot believe the show Agatha All Along said this out loud.
Lorna was trying to open the witch's room to the ballad, and that her fans were her coven. Now, for musicians as well as for very religious individuals, there is a belief in the power of the masses singing or chanting something together in unison as a way to heal. This was particularly a 60s to 70s new age concept of healing and uniting the world through song, and then like Coca-Cola ruined it, man. But I like that this episode like takes it back and makes it a very real thing. Alice says Lorna had to sell the back catalog to keep the house, but it sounds like the ballad had an ongoing literal cult following. Yeah, they put a creepy distortion effect on it to just make it sound.
Did you hear what he said? Mm-hmm. So in the show, she's trying to find her mom. Her mom was a famous singer, and she had a song that was really a spell. And you find out why it was a spell in the show. And they said, you heard them say it, the crowd was their coven. So if you understand a coven, you always see witches in threes, you know, three or more. So basically what they're saying is that the other witches in their coven is the crowd. And what they also said was the song getting played over and over again on their devices is re-invoking the spell over and over again.
That's deep, bro.
This is stuff that we talk about, but like they're saying it out loud. It's deep, crazy.
Bro.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's deep, bro.
So here's this last part, and this is this I'm sure you've heard of. They also did the thing where they did the backwards. A lot of people in the 60s and 70s were doing like songs where they do something in reverse, and then you play it back. It was something satanic.
Artists. Yeah,
they did that in the show.
This comes
in the show
from a lot of urban legends you may have heard dating back to the 60s and the 70s of bands hiding satanic messages in their albums when they were played backwards. This is called blackmasking. Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven is a popular example of this. There's this verse: if there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alarmed now. But when you reverse that, listeners think it sounds like this. Also, famously, the Beatles, Revolution 9 spawned the whole Paul is dead urban legend. But really, these rumors mostly were spread by Christian groups going through the satanic panic in the 80s, which led to a lot of them destroying their albums.
So you see what they call it, satanic panic.
The satanic panic.
So is it Christians making this up, believing things that aren't true, or is this real demonic tactics by people who worship Satan, interjecting their belief system into music to affect people?
I definitely think so. The first part about the guy who came up with the improv and how you were saying he's pretty much a Wiccan, I was just thinking about the aspect of how many people who are aspiring actors everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like they're so wicked, they've infiltrated that they've automatically making you do these things, being totally unaware of it. And I've also I've read a book called "He Came to Set the Captives Free." It's about a young lady who was caught up in Satanism, and she was traveling around the country with high-ranking witches and different things. She broke down how they had different sectors of witches around the country, and whatnot. And they would go into the studio with some of these major rock artists during that time, and they would blatantly have witches come in and do seances and things over the music. And I was thinking it makes sense because if following Christ is a narrow road, that means many would not find it. But when rock artists come out with these songs, to see the way the masses just come to it, and then if you look in their eyes and you see the atmosphere in there, it's like it's cultish, it's evil, you know what I'm saying? It's satanic, and it's like, why are them singing a song about love, making these people act like this? There got to be something spiritual going on behind it. So I think it's that, and I think one of the greatest weapons that the enemy have is making people believe that he's not real or it doesn't exist. So you can blindly be doing improv, doing incantations and invocations and not even realize it, because they have a set format to where if you don't have the Holy Spirit and you don't know Jesus, you're going to be influenced by this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And that's just wicked on all levels. So
yeah,
that's crazy.
I do think that. Yeah, I think all of it's real. And then also I remember the cat. Remember, I don't know. People were saying he was a conspiracy theorist back in the day. Mike Todd. That's what he was saying. Where he was saying that they were putting the masters on the pentagrams and calling spirits on them at the record labels and then sending them out. You know what I'm saying? So, because the master recording, if people don't know what mastering does, once you get the master recording back, it just makes duplicates off that master.
Yeah.
So if you're calling entities into that master, and that master is going out spiritually, then
How much do you believe though that objects and songs and images can be like possessed with a demon? Do you believe those? Is that what's really going on? How much power does this really have? Are we overstating it?
well, I think you got to look at it from a standpoint of the sound and sound of light. Could sound of light be used to, because that's what, in essence, that's what it is you're looking at visually, looking at something that's giving you the visualization of light, and then also the sound of light of what you're listening to. So the question goes, could the enemy use light, and can he use sound to, I mean, because think about the story. We always go back and forth with David when he's playing a song to get the demonic stuff out of what's the name. So
Yeah.
you don't think it could be reversed? In my mind, I'm like, well, Satan could pervert that and try to put
He was
different.
and like this, what people fail to realize. Of course, we know that the devil, he was a musician, or not musician, but he was a worshiper. You know what I'm saying? But he was also an angel of war. You know what I'm saying? Like. You look in Ezekiel, it talks about he was an angel of war as well. So when you're an angel of war, what are you going to use? You're going to use war tactics. And one of the war tactics is things like being camouflaged, or things are being hidden. It makes you have the appearance of one thing, but you're actually being attacked. So I think when you look at music, when you look at film, you look at all these different things we deem as harmless, we always got to remember we're in the midst of a spiritual war.
Right.
Whatever you're doing, whether you're aware or you're unaware, it's giving glory to one thing or the other. It's either giving glory to God or it's not. So I don't think everybody purposely is going out here doing witchcraft and incantations, but if it's already just been planted there to where you're doing this, you could be what someone told me is called a blind witch.
Yes.
To where you're doing witchcraft and you're doing these different things blindly, not even knowing it, because you're just thinking it's just a harmless thing that you're doing. Like you're just trying to be an actor, not even knowing that you out here. And then next thing you know, you're going through all this spiritual stuff at the crib. You're like, man, what's going on? I'm just trying to get a role, you know? So I think it's very much so.
So define that, because I've never heard what a blind witch is.
Blind witch is that it's like this situation here when people are doing invocations, don't even realize it. Or it's certain spiritual practices that witches and Wiccans will do and wizards will do that you're not aware of. But you look at our culture, it's evil people behind our culture who are pushing you toward these acts and pushing you toward these things, and you're thinking it's harmless because you're not knowledgeable on that spiritual world. Yeah. So now you're wondering why you're going through so many things and why things are happening in your life the way they are. You're doing witchcraft without realizing it. So you're a blind witch. You know?
You're a blind witch.
Yes.
I definitely had a friend who didn't realize, like, I hit her up and I was like, oh, let's do this fast together. And in the fast, she realized that she was a witch.
Dang.
And I was like, what? She was like, she just didn't understand it, because even the Bible says, like, the enemy, like the prince of the earth blinds their minds to these things, so they really don't understand it. But she was like, she had a whole altar to her ancestors in her room. She had her Bible on the altar. She was like, she couldn't believe, like, God opened her eyes to all the things that she was doing, manifestations, like all of these things. And she was like, I was literally putting water in a cup to feed the ancestors and praying at this altar at the same time.
So here,
was that water disappearing at night?
I don't know.
it's called evaporation. So Bible verses about witchcraft. So this is one that we were talking about earlier. Saul died because he was unfaithful to the Lord. This is 1 Chronicles 10:13. He did not keep the word of the Lord and even consulted a medium for guidance. That's what me and Jeremiah were talking about that. 1 Samuel 15:23. For rebellion is like the sin of divination, and arrogance like the evil of idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has rejected you as king. 1 Samuel 22:23. Stay with me, don't be afraid. The man who wants to kill you is trying to kill me too. I don't know if that's related. Let's see. 2 Chronicles 33:6. He sacrificed his children in the fire in the valley of Ben Hinnom, practiced divination and witchcraft, sought omens, and consulted mediums and spirits. He did much evil in the eyes of the Lord, arousing his anger. Do not turn to mediums or seek out spiritualists, for you will be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. This is Leviticus 19:31. I will set my face against anyone who turns to mediums and spiritualists to prostitute themselves by following them. I will cut them off from their people. Leviticus 26. A man or woman who is a medium or spiritualist among you must be put to death. You are to stone them. Their blood will be on their own Heads, Leviticus 20:27. In light of a lamp will never shine in you again. The voice of bridegroom and bride will never be heard in you again. The merchants were the world's people were the world's important people. By your magic spell, all the nations were led astray. I mean, there's a lot of serious warnings. Here's another one. The acts of the flesh are obvious: sexual immorality, impurity, and debauchery, idolatry and witchcraft, hatred, discord, jealousy, fits of rage, selfish ambition, dissensions, factions. So the Bible is treating witchcraft as seriously as it treats every other sin. This is real. So we got to be really, really careful with this. I do think some things are maybe people's imaginations of what witchcraft is capable of. I don't want to overstate its power, but it's not nothing. And we got to watch out for it.
Let me ask y'all a question, man. So we know we all listen to hip hop music, of course. Do you think it's just every week we do this show, we find different topics, we look at different things? I'm just seeing more and more evidence of the trickery and the wickedness that's going on behind this stuff. Are we as Christians sometimes making excuses to listen to the stuff that we want to listen to when there's blatant evidence that we probably shouldn't be?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I'm personally getting convicted. I'm honest, because I listen to hip hop music. I don't listen to the stuff like where it's a whole bunch of murder and killing, because that's just not my life. I have no reason to listen to that, especially with my daughter in the car and stuff. But it's almost like, man, a lot of these folks, like even hearing that today, it's like some of these guys just following their dreams, just trying to be an artist, but you don't know what the label is doing. All these labels, they quitting and doing this stuff now. The stuff going on with Diddy is showing all this wickedness behind the scenes and all this kind of stuff. We don't know really what's behind this stuff. The artist may be innocent, but the label is not.
Right.
And that's why we focused on it so much this year, because I don't think everybody realizes how devious the people behind what you've ingested for 30, 40 years are. And honestly, don't listen to music anymore. I don't listen to music anymore. Like I just don't have the taste for it anymore. I remember I told y'all I went on a year fast from music, gospel, everything, no music, period. And ever since then, I'm like, it don't do nothing for me no more.
I kind of feel the same. Like recently, I just been, when you start reading Psalms, Psalms is the truth. I've been in Psalms for a couple months because I'm just going book by book. I mean, chapter by chapter, but it's just real, man. And you start seeing how David felt, how different other people felt, and you just reading what they're saying. Like, I'll stay away from this. I'm staying away from that. People who gossip, stay far away. I mean, I won't let nothing vile come in my face or all this other stuff. And it's just, at the end of the day, man, like, I've been on a place where, like, that's why I've been, like, so adamant about helping people find Christian alternatives to stuff. Because I feel like at the end of the day, it may not take you to a place, but it may take your heart to a place that you don't want it to go. You know what I'm saying?
We need to break the spell. We've been under a spell for our entire childhood. Take a break from it, because one thing I noticed when I got away from music and away from a lot of the media, when you start seeing it again, it's clear as day what's going on. Like, you could see it. You could hear the formula. Like, you could see the magic, you know what I mean? Like, you could see the spell. So just break the spell, get away from it, because you may not realize you're under a spell. Like, why are you so drawn to these people? Why are you so drawn to this music? It's not just natural. It's not your actual spiritual person. It's somebody, they've put something on you that makes you drawn to negativity, and it's not of God.
It's crazy, man. Lately I've been just drawn to listen to more instrumentals. Like I've been listening to, I listen to lo-fi instrumentals, things of that nature. Like I've been doing that more so. And even with that, you gotta be careful, because you don't really know who's behind that.
Right.
It's deep.
Make your own stuff.
It's deep, man.
I definitely wanted to comment as far as like overstating it, because the kingdom of darkness does have power. He is the prince of the air. However, his power is nothing compared to the power of God and the power of Christ. So I don't think we're overstating. I think we do need to understand that this kingdom has power, which is why the Lord wants us to do things for a reason, like be consecrated, be set apart, and for that very reason, because also, and he came to set the captives free, which I really loved how the Lord showed her a vision of open doors. So when you're listening to this stuff, you're participating in these things, it's opening doors and planting seeds in your life. And if you're not consecrated, then they have access to mess with you in different ways and different levels. So it's like,
did you see in that book also? The book's so real.
It's so good.
It's in the beginning of the book. It's a prayer that she tells you that you need to pray before you read this book. She was like, before you even open this book and read it, the spiritual impact is so serious. She said,
I want to get it. What's the name of the book?
He came to set the captives free. I could bring it for you. I'll let you get mine. Yeah. But pray before you read that.
Pray before. It's a whole prayer. My mom first gave it to me in high school, and I saw the prayer and closed the book. I said, I'm not ready yet.
Why she asked you to pray? Because she exposing so much wickedness?
Yeah, man. You know how it is,
Yeah.
When you exposing so much stuff, you're making yourself susceptible to all kind of spiritual attack and things you're not even aware of. Yeah. And I think during that book, she was revealing so many different things. Now that I sit here and think about it, I remember times reading that book, I had to just close it and put it down and just pray and just ask God just to, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, because it was just...
I would say this real quick, going back to Hollywood. I think when we talk about manifestation, we talk about New Age, law of attraction and stuff, that's the secret. Mm-hmm. And that's what people were saying also is a form of New Age witchcraft. I'm thinking of something to bring into my life to give me power, to give me money, to give me all that stuff. And yeah, man, I think and the reason why I told this to Sean before you guys got here, I said the reason why those shows back in the day were witchcraft and stuff like that was because in the actual, like the video we're gonna talk about later about the young lady, she was talking about being a witch, and you said somebody was like a white witch. When people don't go, she was saying there's levels to witchcraft. Like there's like big time level where some stuff is where it's just like you doing love potions, or you trying to get money, or you trying to do that. But when you start hexing people and putting death on people, that's when you go to another level. That's what she said in there. And her what's her name? So I just think at the same time, that's why people, while we were growing up, even if they were showing like somebody like Bewitched G doing love stuff, it was like simple, and it didn't seem like, oh, that's just that. But I think right now is when we seen a video where somebody saying they use an actual witch's spells on shows.
And this is not new. Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Harry Potter was written by an actual witch. Those spells are real.